If your top sets are feeling like a Russian roulette every single time you load them as to how good or bad they're gonna feel, I guarantee you that it is not a strength problem, it's not an externals problem, it's a warm-up strategy problem. And in this video, I am gonna walk you through my warm-up framework to strategically map out every single time you walk in the gym so that your top sets are as predictable as fucking possible so that you can go ahead and build that dream total without gambling on how your top set is actually gonna feel every single week. And I promise you, if you have time to self-soothe and scroll in between every single set, you have time to do this and implement this, because this is a 2-minute tactic. And whether or not you are working with RPEs, set loads, RIR, percentages of your 1RM, this is a bulletproof method for every single one of them. So make sure that you are taking notes, save this video, and I'm gonna help you out. Because messy warm-ups equal messy top sets. It's as simple as that. I'm gonna teach you my foolproof method so that no matter what is loaded on that bar, that top set feels predictable and you can walk out of every single session knowing that you fucking bossed it every time. Because I can guarantee that what you're doing right now is working on your safety load, right? You're warming up at the same time, whether you're working 40 on bench, no matter what that top set load is, and figuring out from there, 60 on squats, 70 on deadlifts. You have the same routine every time, but you have no structure following that first warm up. Or maybe you're warming up going bar, 60, 80, 100, that feels fine, and then jumping to your top set from there. And just hoping, expecting that it's gonna come together as you go. But then when you get under the bar on that top set and it feels a little bit off, it feels a little bit heavier than you expected, you're like, oh, what the fuck? I've worked so hard, I've nailed all of my externals this week. What did I do wrong? And you're internalizing the fuck out of it. You're getting frustrated every single time. You feel like it is a gamble. And then as you re-rack it, you're like, what the fuck? My warm-ups, I was feeling really strong today. My warm-ups were flying. Why did it just move like that? I do not want to send that to my coach. That is not a strength issue, because I guarantee that you do this the right way, you will unlock it every single time. This is a structure issue, because your warm-ups are supposed to prime you, not surprise you. It's not normal to get under the bar and be like, oh, these warm-ups felt way better than I thought. That's how it should feel every time when you get this right. Because when you treat your warm-up sets like afterthoughts, don't be surprised when you then keep getting unpredictable outcomes. I should have held your hand when I said that. Because be so honest with yourself and with me for a second. You have been waiting all fucking week, all fucking block to hit this number. Don't let your warm-up sets be the reason that you didn't hit it after all of the work on your externals, on your nutrition, on nailing your sleep, on placing your block so perfectly. Because I know that you want it to move exactly how you visualized it when you first saw it on your program. And once you implement this, you can. And imagine walking out of that gym being like, I fucking bossed that. Oh my God, I cannot wait to plaster this all over social media. I cannot wait to see my E1RM suddenly take a jump. I cannot wait to see if I can keep repeating this, where this gets me in 3 months' time. You wanna know what plates are going on the bar every time. You wanna know exactly how every single warm-up set and therefore every single top set is gonna feel every single session. And imagine every single aspect of your training feeling dialed the fuck in, because this is what we are trying to create, right? Predictability and repeatability. That is what's going to make you a more efficient lifter. That is what's going to accumulate and compound to make you the strongest you have ever fucking been and be the boss bitch powerlifter that you know you can be. And if you are currently in the school of thought that's like, I don't want to overly fatigue myself before that top set, so I do like 2 to 3 warm-up sets. I just do, and then I jump to my top set. This section is for you, okay? Please listen to me when I say this. Warm-up sets, more warm-up sets, structured warm-up sets do not make you too fatigued for going into the top set that you want. In fact, they are going to make that top set more achievable, because every single time you build through those warm-up sets, your CNS, your central nervous system, is firing up, okay? It's getting you primed for that top set. Your motor cortex, so the part of your brain that is responsible for planning and executing movement, is learning and refining through repetition in your warm-ups. So every time you repeat that lift, you repeat that movement pattern, you are strengthening the neural pathway that controls it. You are literally training your brain to perform that lift more efficiently and automatically. And my love, give your body some fucking credit. You have to work so hard to achieve true failure. I guarantee that you're not going to fatigue your muscles enough to actually burn yourself out before the top set. How hard are you actually training? When was the last time you actually hit failure on a squat? So no, I promise you that a few extra warm-up sets is not gonna tire you out. It's not gonna fuck you over. They're gonna make you more efficient, more consistent, and more confident. And when you start treating your warm-up sets like the foundation that they actually fucking are, rather than just some like formality, the annoying thing to get out the way before you hit the exciting stuff, everything changes. Your technique kicks in earlier, your confidence grows every single fucking rep. Your top sets stop being some coin toss and start being predictable. And you are gonna walk up to that bar knowing exactly how it's gonna move, and it will. So settle in. Let me teach you this framework because the principle is really fucking simple. Start light, work your way up, and make the jumps smaller as you go. Because the goal here is to make every single set predictable and that top set achievable. Because the more predictable your warm-up sets, the better an idea you're gonna have of how that top set is gonna move. And the number that you have in mind is going to therefore become even more achievable. And I want you to please hear me when I say this. That does not mean just adding 10 kilos every single time, okay? Because you want your warm-ups to build momentum rather than just like, I don't know, I'll figure it out when I get there. And so the heavier that top set is gonna be, the more strategic you're gonna need to be with those warm-ups, okay? And in theory, the more warm-ups you're likely gonna need. So the easiest way to do that is simply to plan it backwards. Let me show you. So let's take today, for example. I have a top set of 115 kilos. So what I'm gonna do is to start light and plan every single warm-up backwards, making specifically sure that the jumps get smaller every single time I build, okay? So let me give you an example of this. I'm gonna start with my top set, right? I have set load for this, so I've got 115 kilos. What I will likely do before that is 107.5 kilos. So that is a 7.5 kilo difference. Next jump is gonna be 97. So that then becomes slightly bigger at 10 kilos, right? Then I'm gonna take 82.5, which is a 15 kilo difference, my mental maths. And then before that, I'm gonna take 60 kilos. I work with bumpers in this gym, okay? So that's then a 22.5 difference, and I'm gonna do a couple of sets with the bar. So if we then actually strategically map this out, I've done a 40 kilo jump, a 22.5 kilo jump, a 15 kilo jump, a 10 kilo jump, and a 7.5 kilo jump, right? Every single one is different. And I want you to notice how the jumps descend as I approach my top set. This is intentional because it primes your body and your mind to be more efficient. Now, you are gonna know how your CNS responds, right? Bench particularly, a lot of my clients tend to find that the more warm-up sets they do, the better it feels. Obviously, we're not gonna go crazy because the other thing we have to understand is the more sets you're doing close to that top set, the more fatigued and the more exertion you're gonna have to put in, right? So we want to make sure that we are planning this strategically. You may find that you need a few less. That's okay if you are used to taking slightly bigger jumps, right? If your top set is like 140 usually, but you're in a week one, we can probably get away with less. But we want to make sure that you're not just doing like one and dones or anything like that, that you are strategically getting closer to that top set every single time. Now, if you are someone who is working with RPE as opposed to set loads are predictable, they're easy, right? This is what I'm aiming for. I work my sets back from that. If you are working with a range or an RPE, we're gonna need to be that little bit more thorough planning this out. We're gonna wanna take smaller jumps near that top end. This is my top hack, okay? Because what it does is it helps you to feel the loads out before you make the commitment. So what I always say to my lifters is give yourself like 2 to 3 different options for that top set. Let's take a range, for example, of 112 to 117, right? And I've said we've got a rough RPE aim. This is the load that I'm giving. Because personally with my lifters, I work with set loads, ranges of that set load with an RPE to help guide them. So if they're feeling more fatigued, they can take the lower end. If they are feeling really fucking good, they have permission to push that a little bit. So let's take that range. What I would usually say here is let's take a last warm up of, let's say 105. If it's feeling really good, you want to take a 10 kilo jump, you can then just jump straight to the 115, cap it there. If you're still not 100% sure, what I would then suggest is take the 7.5 kilo jump to 112. That can then either be your top set, or that still feels really fucking good. That then gets to be your last warm up, and you can take the additional 5 kilo jump without fucking yourself over because we've still done a 7.5 and a 5 kilo jump. Does that make sense? So we either can then take slightly bigger jumps to that last warm up, from that last warm up to top set, or we can use it as strategically feeling things out when you're working with RPE. If you would, let's say, set a double at an RPE 6, you're likely going to have a rough idea of the range you could hit. So plan this structure Use this structure to plan your warm-up sets around that. Now, through all of this, your main focus is maintaining the consistency and the quality of your technique and your execution every single time. Because remember, we are priming for that top set, right? So don't go rushing your warm-up sets, bombing into the hole just for the sake of it, and then expecting that your top set is going to move how we want it to, right? Execute the same way every single time, because remember, the core principles are predictability, repeatability, and achievability in that top set. We want your warm-ups to be predictable, repeatable, and to make that top set as achievable as possible. So every single set, every single rep should be like a scaled down version of what you want that top set to look like, because consistency in your execution is what equals consistency in your performance. Now, we also want to just factor in here, we might have variations, right? So a tempo set, we're going to want to match that in your warm-up sets as well. We're also going to factor in tempos are more fatiguing, pause work is more fatiguing, so likely giving yourself a little bit more leniency with this. We also want to factor in your rep ranges. So let's say you've got a top single, right? Well, our last warm-up, we're not going to want to overly fatigue for that. So we're likely going to match a single for your last warm-up as well. However, if you are currently working with higher rep ranges, let's say you've got a top set of like 3 or 5, we're not going to want to go ham on that, the volume for your last warm-up, because again, that's much, much more intensity at that top end. But we're also not going to want to do a single to then jump to 5 reps, right? Because again, predictability is the core focus. So we're likely, let's say for a top set of 5, going to do a double, a triple, depending on what you feel that you need. A top triple, we're probably going to do something like a double rather than matching the reps. So these are just some things to consider. If you have any questions on this, you can pop it in the comments, but use this structure and take it to apply it. You can use it for your RPEs, for set loads, for the percentages of a 1RM, for RAR. Do it for whatever. It's so fucking easy to apply. Start small, build as you go, and take smaller jumps the closer you get to that top set. Predictability, repeatability, and achievability for that top set. Execute the same no matter what is on that bar as a scaled down version of your top set. That is the whole fucking principle, okay? Then you can apply this to variations. You can apply it to higher or lower volume. Just be strategic with those warm-up sets, okay? And I promise, if this is something you've tried but you've not really got on with it before, your warm-up sets have told you what to load. You just haven't been listening. They will always tell you. You just need to have the wherewithal to understand what they are trying to say. So start planning them with intention and watch how your top sets utterly fucking transform. Because you deserve to walk up to that bar knowing, instead of hoping, that that top set is yours. So try this in your next session. Watch how different your top set feels, and let me know in the comments if this was helpful. And if you want more content like this, make sure to like, to subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next video.